Jim arrives each morning, and the first thing he always does is review his construction metrics dashboard. There are 6 key performance measures that he monitors closely. The first is the operational readiness scorecard. Here Jim can quickly review the current status of each major milestone in the project. The milestone status is updated in real time by Coreworx, giving an accurate status ranging from satisfactory in green to significant risk posed to the project in red. In-service binders are a key metric of operational readiness during construction. This graph communicates the current status of all accepted design change notices that are in progress and being monitored. The 2-week trend helps Jim quickly check on the overall progress. Updates to documentation that will eventually be used by operation is also a critical element in the completion of every DCN. Modifications training must also be undertaken as part of the DCN completion process. Jim monitors this chart to track the total number of training deliverables over the 2-week trend line. A key focus for Jim is monitoring DCNs that have reached the closeout phase but have not yet been closed. He uses a combination of the stickout range chart as well as the DCN closeout that lists all of the contractors that have DCNs that have gone beyond 90 days without closure as areas that he can focus on with his project managers. Finally, tracking open items against this project is a discipline Jim and all of his project managers follow. These 2 graphs quickly communicate this information. The open items detail chart summarizes the open items by the activity to which the open item is related, with the ability to drill down based on the status of the open item and the related contractors. With this graph here of outstanding open items, Jim can also quickly review the distribution of open items by the target resolution date. Jim focuses in on the milestones with significant risks that require his attention. From the milestone scorecard, he selects milestone number 5 to drill down to the operational readiness detail and understand why it's red. His drill down takes him to the operational readiness details related to starting the power supplies for CWX1 commissioning. Jim may choose to analyze his milestones in a couple of different manners. First, he may choose to drill down at a contractor level on the work being performed against this milestone. We see that Giorgio Electric is the only contractor performing work on this milestone. Jim wants his project managers to dig into the details of this and chooses to export the details to Excel. Once exported to Excel, we have both the high-level summary detailing the DCNs by status, and by clicking on level 3, full access to the details at a DCN level. With a couple of mouse clicks, Jim easily sends this report off to his project manager. The second view on this dashboard is by system. This is the most frequently used view by Jim, as it supports drill down on critical path items to commissioning each system. Jim continues his investigation by focusing on the system with the most number of DCNs. He opens the Class 1 Powerhouse system for a detailed view of the current status by DCN. The key information that Jim has available to him here includes the DCN number, the DCN name, the need date of that particular DCN, when it's forecasted to be complete, and based on those 2, the calculated stickout or negative float. Let's investigate one of these items, number 10368. By clicking on this hyperlink, Jim drills down to the DCN dashboard level details. From the DCN dashboard, Jim has a view of specific information about the DCN that's important to him. The 12-step binder chart provides Jim a visual representation of the gates that are being tracked in the in-service binder workflow. When a gate item is met, the status changes from green to red. Here we see 2 different gates that have yet to be met for completion of the in-service binder deliverable. The schedule section provides a graphical view of the DCN stickout days. In this case, we have a negative float scenario, as the DCN is needed well before it's forecasted to be complete. The general section provides information both about the work breakdown structure that's important from a project management perspective, as well as the physical plant details that are used to trace a DCN back to the configuration of the plant. The final section we see is the affected documents list. If Jim needs to drill down into even more detail, he'll click on the View DCN button. This gives him a full view of the traceability details against DCN 10368. Jim wants to get a much better handle on DCNs that are critical path in early August, so he requests Sandra from Data Integration to prepare a report with these details based on today's project updates. Sandra scrolls to the bottom of the dashboard to generate a pivot table using Excel services. This pivot table template is made available to all managers using the dashboard. The key elements include a predefined field list, which is based on the cube we're connected to in the data warehouse, a default set of report filters that are focused on creating a monthly needs analysis style of report. The data is then grouped by unit and by system, with a count on the number of DCNs for each row. To meet today's request, Sandra needs to move the end date status from being a filter criteria to a column, so she clicks to move this to the row label section. In a few easy steps, Sandra has a report that answers Jim's inquiry. Let's now focus on the project information control elements that make up the entire traceability of the DCN. Tracy, the document controller for this project, requires sophisticated search capabilities against the DCNs. Using this search window, Tracy can search for the DCNs on one or more attributes such as show me all documents that have been turned over to the customer. The result criteria is quickly returned where she can drill down into individual DCN records. Her search requirements are usually much more precise. For example, if the DCN number is known, it can be keyed into the DCN field and the search executed. With one record returned, Tracy now has full details of the DCN that she wanted to investigate. Let's take a look at some of the detailed information not available in the dashboard that is being controlled within Coreworx. On the Relations tab for this DCN, we see 7 documents spanning general documentation, engineering, and training. By clicking on the Document ID hyperlink, Tracy pulls up the selected document. This document was created under the General Documents profile for operating and maintenance procedures, and therefore tracks a different set of attributes than those used for a DCN. On the Files tab, we're directed to the correct document to use, meaning it supersedes all other revisions. If we need to review the revision history, we simply click on the Revisions tab. The Relations tab shows what DCNs this document is related to. One operating procedure may be impacted by several DCNs in the project. Finally, on the History tab, Tracy has a full audit history associated with this particular document. Tracy can review both markups and redlines from other reviewers, as well as add comments herself. Rick is one of Jim's project managers, and he uses Coreworx to monitor work items that he must respond to. He's responsible for ensuring that the DCNs for his assigned systems move through every gate in the DCM workflow process on schedule. This DCM workflow diagram provides a quick snapshot of the workflow in progress for DCN 10368. We see the workflow is currently stopped at the approval for walkdown participants. Let's take a look at how this has been assigned to Rick in his work inbox. Rick has been assigned to approve the walkdown participants for the installation inspection of DCN 10368. In this electronic form, Rick will be able to assign the required walkdown participants, the optional participants, as well as the required date and time. Once complete, he will approve the electronic form and it will be sent out to all participants. Each walkdown participant receives an email that outlines the walkdown details, as well as quick and easy links to the DCN and all documentation that Rick compiled as part of the walkdown package. Clicking on any of the hyperlinks will take the user to that document within Coreworx. When the walkdown has successfully been completed and everyone is ready for sign-off, Rick will complete this modification certificate form. Once completed, he submits this form, which updates the DCN deliverables that showed up in the in-service binder tabs. Information changes to a DCN that result from workflow activities are immediately reflected in the data warehouse. We see here that for DCN 10368, binder tab 1 has now moved from a red to a green status. This will impact the status of the overall system and again the milestone. The change in DCN 10368 rolled up through the system to the major milestone and moved this from a significant risk to an attention required status here today.